Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Korok Seed Master Mode Challenge. This is an ongoing series that I release once a week where we go through and collect 20 Korok seeds, and that is before doing anything else in the game, which includes hunting down shrines or any other in-game progressions. So if this is a series that you've been enjoying, or if you're new, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to leave a like on the video if this is the type of content that you enjoy. We're about a quarter of the way done, so there's many more episodes just like this to be coming your way. So without further ado, let's jump into the seeds highlighted in today's video. Seed number 241, and the first seed of our adventure today, is a flower puzzle where we need to follow the flower around the little ruin area here, though it doesn't actually loop around the ruins. It actually doubles back on top of the cliff that you kind of start on. And we actually had a little bit of a funny moment here as I'm looking around for the different flowers. As there had been a couple of bokoblins that I had activated that were looking out for me, and I got shot in the back right into that flower that I needed to complete the puzzle. So not the way that I expected that to go, but certainly a funny little happening to be sure. Seed number 242 is just a hop, a skip, and a jump away, and a literal jump into a ring of lily pads in this little pond here, and that gets us the seed from this spot. Though the next seed is a little bit further away. It is a seed type that we have seen before, with it being a magnesis ball and chain puzzle, one that we just need to stuff into the trunk of this tree. And it's right next to a shrine. Off the top of my head, I don't know which one it is, but it's right there and can be a little bit occulted if you come at it from the wrong angle. So do keep that in mind as you're looking for that one as well. Seed number 244 is on top of this pillar next to a walkway, so you just gotta climb your way up to the top and lift the rock off the top. And of course, we've got to keep up with our tradition of trying to provide these guys some shelter from the elements, from the cold. And so I try to put the rock back down on his head, but of course it falls all the way down to the path down below. Seed number 245 is one of my favorite types of puzzles where we need to push a giant boulder into a hole in the ground, and in this instance the boulder is sitting right next to the hole, so it's really not that difficult to track down and complete from this puzzle. But that's not the last we've seen of that type, even in this video. Seed number 246 is another rock that's on top of a mountain, so you just need to walk your way up to the top and free the little guy from the underside. And then as soon as you're done, I mean, it's a pretty high mountain, and he's very exposed up here, so maybe we can give him some shelter. Well, at least I tried. Seed number 247 is another one of the durian puzzles where we need to pluck 2 durians off of the tree. This is similar to puzzles that we've seen with apples and with volt fruit cacti. But this may, or I fully expect this to be the last of the durian variations of those puzzles, as we are getting away from the jungle areas at this point where the durians are located. Seed number 248 is a puzzle that's pretty difficult actually, as it's a boulder that you need to place on the pedestals around here, and I actually was lucky enough to place it just over here on the edge, though it did require some fine movement to get it in the correct placing. So what I ended up doing, as you saw there, was I stasised the boulder off on the top of the pillar and then used my giant's boomerang to throw the boulder off of the pillar onto the platform, and then one hit with a soldier's broadsword was enough to push the boulder into the final position. A lot of people have troubles with that one. That was my first take on it ever, so keep that in mind. Seed number 249 is another seed that is hidden underneath a rock on top of a mountain. So go ahead and pick that up and then provide the guys some shelter again. I mean, the sun's up at this point, but it's still nice to give them a little bit of some shelter from the elements. Now, seed number 250, this marks the midway point, and it is a puzzle type that we haven't seen recently, where we need to run around to a couple of different flowers, and you need to run across them in a sequential order from 1 to 5 in order to trigger the Korok from this spot. Now, I did upset that goat because I think I snuck up on him a little bit, and I did end up getting hit by him because I completely forgot that he was there. These next two seeds are the first in their kind of sphere that I've seen, as I haven't seen two of them this close together and in the same area. They're both fairy light puzzles that you need to track down, but they kind of chase each other around these little ponds. So as soon as you get the one, you'll want to see if you can track down the other, though they do have relatively similar trajectory patterns that they run around on, but they're practically in the same spot, and once the game resets, they actually end up standing right next to each other on the map. So there's that, I suppose. Seed number 253 is a cleverly hidden puzzle where the block is actually up in a tree, and this is the adjoining puzzle that you're supposed to imitate, where the actual completion is over here on this cliff. It can be a little difficult to see because it's over in a shadow, but you just need to place the block right in the fork between the two, and you'll be able to get the seed from this spot. So more of a spatial challenge than anything else. Seed number 254 is a seed that we haven't seen in a long time, mainly in the fact that it's a wall that you have to bomb out before you can pick up the seed, but that one was pretty straightforward, and I guess I got rid of the rest of his shelter, so there's a little seed you can, or a rock you can hold in front of yourself. Seed number 255 is a rock up in the treetops, and we've seen these types before, but this tree is actually placed in a rather precarious spot, as it's next to what Austin John Plays has outlined as being one of the more difficult seeds in the game. And it's not so much difficult in its essence, and I actually didn't have really any trouble with this one because of the way I went about it. Basically, this is a big shrine area with that you can sacrifice a piece of one of the large dragons to in access to a shrine. And in one hand of this giant stone dragon, there is a magnesis block that you'll want to pull the actual metal component from, and then move it over to the adjoining puzzle that's all the way on the other side of this dragon. Now, if you walk it around the front side, you're going to end up fighting a lot of enemies, many of which are outfitted with some electric weapons, so it's not going to be the funnest. And this just seemed like the less strenuous route, all things considered, to just walk it over the top of the dragon and up to the hand in order to finish out the puzzle that's left there. And this is the last use of the magnesis that we need to finish out that puzzle. So it takes a hot minute to actually get all the way through, but all things considered, it's not the most difficult in terms of the magnesis block puzzles that we have seen. Seed number 257 is down at the foot of this little hill, and it's actually underneath this giant slab that you'll need to knock away using your stasis rune. And it's pretty cut and dry once you have that knocked away, as it's just another rock that's hidden underneath. Because I'd used my Giant's Boomerang for a couple of other projects earlier, I went ahead and used it again, just because, I mean, it was already hitting some damage, and I've never really had a lot of use from the Giant's Boomerang, but it's handy to have on hand and to use for different puzzles and collections, I suppose. So it's starting to rain. Let's try and give this guy some shelter, as we've just gotten rid of the overall sheltering that he did have. Now, as I had alluded to earlier, there is one more of these giant boulder puzzles, though this is one of the first where I've found that stasis is absolutely necessary to finish the second portion of it. You'll need to roll one of these boulders down off of the hill, and then it actually needs to go up this hill. As you can kind of see off there in the distance, the hole that we need to get this boulder into is up this slant. So again, I've resorted to using the Giant's Boomerang, and I did go ahead and expire my status a little bit early, and I'm glad that I did, because that was a lot of cut down that I needed to do in order to prevent that boulder from rolling all the way back down the hill. But with only 3 uses of stasis, we were able to get it in there. I didn't want to hit it too many times and send the boulder flying way too far off into the distance, so I think I did it a little more conservative than it maybe was necessary, but at the end of the day, we got the seed, and that's really what matters. Seed number 259 is another race against the clock puzzle. We've seen a couple of these. This is fairly similar to a style that we'd seen before, where you'll want to glide from one mountaintop over to the other, and I just managed to expunge all of my stamina to get up on that ledge, but there was more than enough time than what was absolutely required for capturing this seed, so no harm, no foul in that regard. And the last seed is another type that we've seen before. It's just another rock, but this one's sitting atop a small little waterfall overlooking a pond in an area that we were in a little bit earlier today. And something that I wanted to take a brief moment and showcase is, for whatever reason, there were a lot of fish hanging out down here. I was initially going to end the video on jumping into the water, but because there were so many fish there, I decided to do a little bit of some impromptu bomb fishing. So we switch over to a bomb room, throw that into the water, and watch how many fish come up off of the use of this. I think I got a solid 6 or 7 fish. No, it even appears to be more than that on a second glance. So if you're looking for Hyrule bass for recipes and such, this is an excellent source for that. So, bon appetit, I suppose. Well, thanks again for watching today's video, and we will be right back at this series again next week. But stay tuned tomorrow for a brand new video as we bring content to you on a daily basis. Thanks again for watching, and you have a fantastic rest of your day.